Okay, yeah, this is a continuation of our discussion. Many of you have heard the name of Silicon Valley, and many of you may be wondering why is it called Silicon, and you all have heard of semiconductors, and you are wondering what they are and why these names, what are their relationship to computers. When they make chips, the materials used to make chips they use semiconductors. Conductors, that means that they pass the electricity, but they don't pass it perfectly. They use semi. That means that as you all know, some materials pass electricity very rapidly and very smoothly, just like copper, for example, or iron. But there are other materials that the electricity cannot pass through them very smoothly, like a piece of wood, suppose, or cloth. But there are some materials that the current can pass through them in such a mediocre way, and those are in those of you who have taken chemistry have heard of the category of periodic table. You have heard of that they called in one group, that I think that there are I believe for hydrogen, or oxygen form, there is carbon, and in the group of carbon you have some other groups that maybe silicon is in there, and that means a carbon is not a perfect material to pass the current. It's called, these materials in that group are called semiconductors, and silicon is one of the best semiconductors, and that's why you have heard the name of Silicon Valley. It's a place in southern in south of San Francisco, and that's where major companies or major technology companies are there, including Apple and Facebook and Google. Microsoft, as you all know, is not there. If you know, it is in the state of Washington. And Tesla, which is, I forgot to mention, it's one of the Magnificent Seven, was in Silicon Valley, but they moved it to Texas. Therefore, that's where the name Silicon Valley and silicon and semiconductors are coming from, and these chip makers, Nvidia. I think that is also in that company is in Santa Barbara, I believe, in California, and is maker of chips and computer chips, and therefore it is going to be one of the most important. It's already the most important company because it has a huge market share. Let's not forget that it's more in the design and development of chips, and there is a manufacturer in Taiwan, and that manufacturer, when companies like Nvidia design chips, that company in Taiwan, I think let me, the correct name is let me CTS, let me see, TSMC, I believe, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. Therefore, they give the design to them, and they make these chips. Therefore, it's a company that the U.S. is extremely concerned about having a major semiconductor manufacturer to be outside of the US, because at any moment, let's say if China suddenly attacks Taiwan and takes over Taiwan, for example, it's just an example. I am saying, then what will happen to the semiconductors and the computers, the chips that we need, because they are the Taiwan in TSMC is a company that makes many of these. They take the design from the different companies like Nvidia. Therefore, one question you might have is that, or do we have companies similar to NVIDIA that is US based? Yes, there is another company which is called AMD, and that is another company similar to Nvidia, but not as big as Nvidia and not as powerful as Nvidia, but that is growing very fast as well. Therefore, in the next few years, we will hear a lot about companies like Nvidia and AMD. As I said, Intel is a major company that makes computer chips, but it has not got into artificial intelligence yet. And what they use in these programs like ChatGPT, they use the software that NVIDIA develops mainly, and also AMD. And those GPU, as you all remember, we said the G for graphics, they use that GPUs for gaming as well, because the same technology that is used for gaming is also being used for artificial intelligence to process significant amount of information in a short period of time. Therefore, we want you to become familiar with these companies. The more you know, the better it is. And as I said, I remember, suppose 10 years ago, 15, 12 years ago, I was talking in the computer class about a company called Tesla. And, it was, in those days, it was not as, but as I said, in the next few years, you will hear significantly about why this NVIDIA is such a major company, because as you all know, artificial intelligence is going to be an important aspect of all these technology companies, and all of them are relying on that technology. Apple, Facebook, Google, all of them, they go to companies like Nvidia and they have to buy chips. The one type of chips they have, cost maybe $40,000. And other countries also have to go to Nvidia as well, and other countries like China, and because they want to move their AI forward, and they have to buy chips. And the US government sometimes is not happy to see Nvidia is selling its products to some competitors of the US, like China. Therefore, the same Nvidia is creating some, other types of artificial intelligence, software that is not as powerful as what it makes the ones that are for 40,000. Imagine all these people, major companies go to Nvidia and place order. Apple goes to them, Microsoft might go to them, and Google goes to them and places the order. In fact, Mark Zuckerberg, who is the founder of Facebook, that we said that now the name is changed as Meta instead of we were. That's another issue of discussion, where to say why Facebook changed its name to Meta. Therefore, they all go to Nvidia and place order, and they get these orders, and one simple, one chip, certain chips, cost $40,000. Then other countries also go there to, place their order. Therefore, that tells you why these companies, are going to be, these manufacturers of chips are going to be so important, and why you are going to hear a lot about them as artificial intelligence, becomes more popular.